Breaking news. Following the sudden death of 56-year-old Miss Emily French, many suspicions arise.
The current main suspect of the case is Leonard Bull, and inspectors are noting suspicious behaviors from his wife, Romaine.
For preface, Miss French was found dead in her home in the Hampton area at 11 p.m. on October 14th by her housekeeper Janet McKenzie, who had returned from a night out with her friends. Earlier that day, between the alleged hours of 7:45 and 9 p.m., Leonard Bull was at Miss French's house showing her an invention. Leonard's alibi is that he was home by 9:25 with his wife, Romaine.
A possible motive for Leonard is his lack of money and the recent addition to Miss French's will, leaving him to her sole beneficiary. Leonard had recently scheduled an expensive trip that he had no way to afford, and he had quit his job. These behaviors are suspicious due to his stress about money and current financial situation. Who is Romaine? She is a German actress that came from Berlin with Leonard. He brought her from the Russian zone. The marriage was purely out of convenience. Investigators discovered that she had prior marriage at the time Leonard married her.
Dang, that's wild, bro. What suspicious behaviors does Romaine show during her interviews?
Romaine was quick to think that her husband was doomed to life behind bars before he was arrested. She never met Emily French due to her husband's fear they wouldn't get along. During the interview, limited emotions were shown.
She was cool as a cucumber, man.
To get a full idea of her behaviors during the interview,
We have experts in psychology here to analyze Romaine and answer all of your questions. Romaine is showing behaviors of being unsure and unaware of what's going on.
she appears to be going along with whatever her husband is saying.
But why, you might ask?
Maybe she's being forced to say some of these things in fear.
Let's take a look at this next clip and we'll show you.
But Miss Vole, please don't go. There's a lot more to be discussed.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Not by me. Why not, Mrs. Vole? I shall have to swear, shall I not? To speak the truth, all the truth, and nothing but the truth? That is the oath you take. And suppose that then, when you ask me, when did Leonard Vole come that night? I should say, well, there are so many things I could say. Miss Vole, do you love your husband? Leonard says I do. Leonard Vole believes so. But Leonard is not very clever. And your husband can? Leonard Vole is not my husband. He went through a form of marriage with me in Berlin. He got me out of the Russian zone and brought me to this country. I didn't tell him, but I had a husband living at the time.
Okay, now that was crazy.
Inspector, why do you think that Romaine said Leonard she loves him? Did she not actually love him?
Also, whoa, when she dropped that, he's not my only husband.
Why would she say that to the investigators? She's making both of them look bad.
Psychologist, do you think that Romaine is protecting her so-called husband, not husband, so she doesn't have to go back to her homeland?
That's definitely a possibility, but we can't be certain about her intentions. Some important traits of Romaine's include her mysterious past and her suspicions when confirming her husband's return home and many other events.
We also must keep in mind that she's employed as an actor and is capable of lying very convincingly. How do we know that anything she's saying is real?
Romaine is a smart woman. She knows that perjury is punishable with prison time. During her examination by the court, Romaine completely altered her story that she had told detectives. Her original story claimed that Leonard Vole came home at 9:30 and accidentally cut himself cooking dinner. However, her current story includes Vole's admission to his involvement in the crime. He supposedly came home late and said that he killed Miss French. Romaine was then tasked with cleaning blood off his left jacket sleeve. During the case, Romaine said that their marriage is invalid due to her prior marriage, and she was only lying for Leonard due to her gratefulness to him. Suddenly, she was willing to give evidence against her husband and altered her story to aid in his conviction.
So she never loved him?
Nope, Romaine has many motives, including her use of her husband to get out of the Russian zone. Another potential motive is if Leonard is the main benefactor of the will and he is brought to prison, she would get all the money. Another important fact is that Leonard claims that Miss French knew of Romaine, but Janet said that she didn't and was a bit of a cougar.
That's a bit odd. Romaine could also be raising her suspicions as she acts in her role as the red herring, distracting us from the real culprit.
This gives me a lot to think about. Let's hand it off to the broadcasters.
You are grateful to the prisoner. He brought you to this country. He asked you to give him an alibi, and at first you consented. But later you felt that what he had asked you to do was wrong?
Yes, that is it, exactly.
Why did you feel it was wrong?
When it is murder, I cannot come into court and lie and say that he was there with me at the time it was done. I cannot do it. I cannot do it.
So what did you do?
I did not know what to do. I do not know your country, and I'm afraid of the police. So I write a letter to my ambassador, and I say that I do not wish to tell any more lies. I wish to speak the truth.
That is the truth? That Leonard Vole returned that night 10 minutes past 10? That he had blood on the sleeves of his coat? That he said to you, I have killed her? That is the truth before God?
That is the truth.
This case seems extremely suspicious. Join us next time on Current Crime Explained, for a depth covering of this case of Emily French's murder. This is your host, Cameron and Addy, signing off.